Welcome to King of Hearts, Queen of Shadows, my platform for discussing one of my favorite shows of all time, Mobile Fighter G Gundam. I'm your host, Matthew Munoz. I'm an aspiring author and selective enjoyer of anime. And here I go. So I'm going to try to talk about each of the first 6 or 7 episodes in very short order. I actually have episode 1 playing in like a hyper-fast mode on the VLC media player on my computer right now as I record this, because I'm running out. I've only got a couple minutes right now, so I'm just going to mention a few things. So in episode 1, Gundam's Fall to Earth. Highlighted are Neo-France, Neo-France, Neo-Russia, Neo-China, Neo-America, and Neo-Japan. And that Neo-Japan takes you to Domon in Italy, where he fights Michelo Chariot, who was a former mob boss. It's interesting. A couple things to point out. There's this police detective, or I don't know what he is, but anyway, he's a police detective, and he is opposed to the Gundam fights. He complains about the fact that they've been going on for 60 years and that the space colony people don't really care about the Earth, and he says like they must think it's just a ball of dirt that's useless basically. And they're his focus. There's the Gundam crashed. There's 2 Gundams. There's Gundam Neros, which is Michelo's, and then there's Domon's. And I can't tell if they both crashed in Italy, because like it's very unclear. Like I think they did a bad job of conveying whose Gundam was where. But anyway, Michelo wants to use Domon and like to put the blame on him and get him in trouble. And something interesting, the police guy, I'm just going to call him detective. The detective arrests Domon after he gets into a fight, I think, with a bunch of Michelo's thugs, and then he like sort of tortures him. I mean, it's police brutality, it's an abuse of authority, and I'm like super against that. But overall, watching the theme of the show, and it's not real life, so it's easier to be okay with it, but overall watching the theme of the show and how it's about the Earth getting screwed, basically the Earth being destroyed and the people on Earth being destroyed for the sake of the political game or political machinations of the people in the space colonies. I totally understand where the guy's coming from. Like, I can totally see where this detective's coming. He's a grizzled old guy. He saw the Gundam fights as a kid. I don't think they implied that like he lost his mother, but like he was a little boy with his mom seeing the Gundam fights destroying the home where he lived. So I totally get that, and I think that's a good tie into the overall theme of G Gundam, but we will get to that later. Gosh, they have these really pretty freeze frame, like almost watercolor paintings at different parts of the show, and I'm just frozen on the ending here, and I can see that the detective lighting up his cigarette and Domon walking away towards the sunrise, and his shining Gundam, and it was very cool. So just that kind of thematic thing, and then it's funny at the end of the episode after he beats Michelo. The police detective gives him a pizza, and he had earlier, shoved his face into a pizza and was basically torturing him, saying like, "Oh, you want this? I'm not going to feed it to you." But anyway, that's not important. Just to show just to demonstrate to you the damage that's being done by the Gundam fights. There's some little orphans that Domon and Rain meet, and like one of the girl I think is like 6 years old, and 4 years ago they lost their parents, and they don't look like their siblings to me. So I wonder if they're like street urchins who are orphaned and who have banded together to steal stuff, and they are outright, openly, publicly, happily stealing things to survive. They're stealing jewels because money's worthless on Earth, and like they steal bread from somebody and give it to Domon because he helped them. He helped save them from Michelo's thugs, Rain's like, "Oh, we'll get you to your parents," and they're like, "No, our parents are dead." And it's because of the Gundam fight. And like Rain and Domon don't quite see that yet, and it's something that they'll have to come to terms with later. Another couple things. Domon, the kids explain that Michelo was a mafia guy, head mafioso. And like, well, why is he the Gundam fighter? And Domon just says, because he's strong. Also, Domon, when he's released from the police, Rain bails him out because he's a fool. And she's smart and wise. She tells him of his passport that he's just been handed back that she had on her. Like, look, if you just had that, it would have been fine. They wouldn't have taken you. And then he tears it up and just lets it blow away very dramatically, very melodramatically. And it's not really explained why, but we'll get into that in later episodes, and it kind of makes sense. And another thing I wanted to point out, so like that's showing the corruption of the Italian Neo-Italy government, or Neo-Italian government, I guess I could say. And I mean, the colonies as a whole have like a coarseness and a lack of sensitivity towards Earth because they're like seriously damaging it. So that's not good. Another thing is, Domon and Rain have this interesting partnership. I mentioned how she bailed him out and she had his stuff with her, and she helped him out in that way. But also, she's got these gadgets that I want to talk about later. I mean, I'll talk about them more in depth. I might do a whole little section of an episode dedicated to them. But in this one, she pulls out her makeup compact, and it's like the one that like my mom used to have as a little kid, where it's like multiple colors of different stuff, and you pull it out and there's the mirror, and then you apply the little rubber or the little foamy sponge thing, and then you can apply the makeup to yourself. But for her, what this thing does is it actually makes this like crazy projected bubble. It's this pink bubble that blows up and protects her and Domon and the kids from being crushed by a bunch of rubble that Nero's Gundam has just dropped on them. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, that's all I have to say about G Gundam Episode 1, and I will continue with G Gundam Episode 2 momentarily. I've actually decided to not continue this episode and discuss multiple episodes packaged into one episode defined as round whatever. I might still call the episodes round 1, round 2, what have you, but I think I want to go through piece by piece so it's a little easier, it's more bite-sized chunks for me to handle, because after I recorded what you just listened to earlier, or a minute ago, I went ahead and jotted down some notes, and I kind of think talking about each one individually and then jotting down notes will provide me the time I need to really let everything gel, and it'll ultimately make it so that it's a quicker turnaround for me for my ultimate project, which is the Shadow Font episode on G Gundam. So I don't think that'll make the podcast suffer at all. I think it'll just be quicker and easier to listen to. That's really all I have to say, so I'm going to go ahead and stop now and encourage you to go out there and grasp happiness.